gentlemen, welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 455 for the week of, well, it would normally be Tuesday, June 9th. We are recording a few days late this week. Apologies, but whoa, it's train time.
Yep, that's me.
That's all right. Yeah, what the hell was I saying? Yeah, episode 455. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Brock Sager.
Kevin.
And Charlie.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Ryan got an introduction with no crazy,
no nonsense.
Yeah.
No, Toby's not here yet, so I'm sure he'll pop in screaming like a banshee or something like that at some point. Yeah, so I had fully intended on recording on Tuesday. We obviously have a very big episode tonight, but we had AT&T out at the store, and they were installing new internet at our store, and it ended up taking like the whole day. I was there till like 10 o'clock at night, or like 9:30 or so, pulling the new books. Even though we're like just starting to get back to comics, it was like, oh Jesus Christ, I'm already working like way overtime trying to get the stuff done. So it wasn't even there on Wednesday, and I'm like, geez, there's no way we're recording tonight. I was dead.
How many phone calls on Tuesday night did you get for, do you have Legion of Superheroes 6?
I got to get some emails and some people that added it on Comic Con, but I was like, deny, nope, sorry, sold out. I should have said I have one copy. If you can name 10 members of the Legion of Superheroes, I'll sell you the book for cover price.
Does triplicate last count as 3?
No, it's
triplicate girl and duo damsel, they can count as 5, right? So there you go.
See, that only works if you tell them to call into the store and don't tell them the question you're going to ask.
Right. Hey, no Googling. That's how you know we're back, baby. Speculators are going crazy I mean, I love the Legion, but hashtag long live the Legion. But I mean, these people don't give a fuck about the Legion of Superheroes. They just want their $20 on eBay.
They want that Gold Lantern first appearance.
So stupid.
And that Monster Boy first appearance.
It's actually like the third Monster Boy. I don't even know anymore. Anyway, we have podcast to record here, so we're going to do that. And, before we start, obviously, we should say we're not on last week. After the death of George Floyd and the protests and occasional rioting, and then Trump gassing civilians, protesters, and finally getting his wall around the White House, and announcing that armored troops were going to be sent into the streets of America. Arguing about the Snyder Cut, probably not something we needed to worry about last week, but we're back here, so we won't go on too long about this type of stuff. But if you've ever listened to this podcast, or heaven forbid, follow me on Twitter or Brock, I think you'll know our politics and where we stand. So clearly we stand with the protesters, and we'll see where this goes over the course of the next couple months.
And for those at home, Charlie and I are both wearing red MAGA hats right now.
Yeah,
to balance it out.
Yeah, no.
I was going to say that's not a good way to describe me, Kevin.
Yeah, no.
That's a really big hat.
You two are less active on social media, so
less politically.
Some of it's on purpose.
Yes. And if you do not know, we have our every 2 year, but especially every 4 year pause on election day coming up in November. So we will be missing that episode.
No, we should get a Patreon tier where we just live broadcast the whole night.
No.
Yeah. No,
because it's either going to be like over at like 6:30. And everything's great, or I don't.
You don't want to relive the last.
The other option we're not even going to discuss. So.
Well, but I mean, this year, from what they're saying, isn't going to be like previous years in terms of getting those answers as quickly, especially with
ballots and everything.
Yeah. So, while there is definitely going to be an election night, I don't know if you're going to get that like. This is the results that night this year.
All right. Oh, we'll see. Anyway, let's move on. because we clearly have. I mean, it's another week, so monumental industry-shaking news from DC has once again happened. Let me go through the whole story, and then we'll break this apart, and you guys can throw in some commentary, and we'll let you know what you think. For customers, really anything that's happened over the last 6 weeks or so shouldn't really affect too many customers. Things have changed on the back end, especially at DC. But, if you're a big Marvel fan, you're just not buying a lot of comics right now because they've stopped their production line. They've cut it by like 3/4. There's some news we're going to talk a little later about Marvel, because I know they've June 15th is going to be kind of their like real start back to normal shipping. They're going to put out their free comic book days books that day. So a little news about that later. But with DC, when the coronavirus hit and Diamond Comics, the main distributor, shut down, DC Comics said, we're actually helping form. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, DC has no ownership in this. I think they were just sort of the main company, or the only company that was involved in the original distribution here, from two new companies, one called Lunar and one called UCS, owned by DCBS, the Discount Comic Book Service, and Midtown Comics, obviously the two biggest retailers in the country, but two retailers with massive shipping and warehouse experience. Because probably, I'd have to assume they're also the two biggest mail order companies. Maybe Lone Star has a bigger mail order than Midtown, but I don't know. And DC said, hey, if you want to stay through Diamond, that's cool. Diamond's going to have your comic books in a few weeks. Otherwise, we're going to send some comics to them, and you can buy from these two new distributors. Retailer forums went to hell. I actually quit the retailer forums over this entire thing because it was such a nightmare. Although I still got my mole. I still got a mole, and well, I got a couple moles. I have more than a couple moles. I still know like 50% of the people in there, but I see stuff. So let's just say that. So we went with Lunar. So we were getting our DC Comics during the shutdown. It wasn't much, but it was a little bit. The big question was, what was Lunar going to do once, and UCS, what were they going to do when Diamond Comics started shipping books again? Because obviously, why use these other companies, right? Diamond Comics provides comic books to every single comic book store in the world, really. American comic books, that is. And why would anyone buy from these other companies? The big problem people had with Diamond was that they were a quote-unquote monopoly. They're not, but that was, from a fan perspective, that was a big problem with the company. They had terrible service. They really didn't. There were problems, obviously, but could they be better? Yeah, but our problems were minimal. I think more of the problems came. Oh, my dog is very angry. More of the problems came from shipping and UPS and everything. So way more problems with the shipping aspect than the. My dog is really pissed at something. What's going on?
Everyone's mad at DC, Ryan.
My dog is really mad at DC. With these new companies, right? The question was, what is their place down the road? Because why would anyone go with them if they're going to go, if you could just get comics through Diamond? Well, DC also said,
honestly,
yeah, go ahead.
My mentality on it is, if anybody wanted to go with them, great. If not, as you already said, there are already these massive companies sort of shipping to consumers and that kind of thing. So either way, they'd have a new shipment channel available to them.
Right. Some stores said, some stores were like, look, we've been complaining about Diamond forever. We legitimately have problems with them. These new people offer better service. We're going to stick with them. I know multiple stores that stayed with them, right? But we didn't. We went right back to Diamond just because it is easier. I'll talk more about this later as well. DC also said, in the meantime, we're going to shift over our entire distribution to allow for Tuesday sales for both graphic novels and single issues. And again, we talked about this at length when this happened, because comic books were sold on Wednesday. American comic book stores would get graphic novels on Wednesday. Graphic novels come out when books come out, which is Tuesday. So what would happen was Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other stores would get their graphic novels the following Tuesday. So comic book stores had like a 6-day advantage. And while that was great for us, clearly from a marketing point of view, it's a little bit difficult to say, hey, some stores have this now. Amazon has this in 6 days. I mean, look, let's be honest, right? They're going to market this to the most people they possibly can. So again, while I understand it was nice to have the advantage, but just wasn't going to last forever. So a lot of changes, but again, figured, okay, they set up this distributor. Maybe some other indie guys are going to go to it, but this feels like a weird thing to really only exist for a few weeks to fill in like some random books. It seems like a lot of work. What is the end game here? Well, last Friday we found out. I literally had stopped at a red light, and my little phone, like a little notification came up that was like, email from DC Comics. DC Comics has left Diamond Comics, and I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? So I pulled over and I just read through it really quickly. So Diamond Comics is no longer, well, we got some more clarification today, but within a few weeks, we'll no longer be distributing DC Comics single issues. And by the end of the year, they will no longer be distributing DC Comics graphic novels. Now, for the single issues, we placed our last order through Diamond for DC Comic single issues last week. So those are shipping through the end of the month, June 23rd, or June 24th being the Wednesday. There will be no DC Comics coming out on Tuesday, June 30th, or Wednesday, July 1st. Funny enough, this is also, I believe, one of Marvel's single issue skip weeks, which means there will be no Marvel or DC Comics single issues out on July 1st. That's fucking crazy. Okay. By the end of July, all of the back stock will be pulled out of Diamond. So any reorders, any stock they still have of DC Comics will be sent to the other distributors. Now, the problem with graphic novels is we order these well in advance of release. It's not like single issues where you order them and 3 weeks later they're here. Graphic novels are months, sometimes years in advance. Absolute day tripper, Brock. Yeah.
I think it was 4 years.
the weird Western Tales, the Jonah Hex Omnibus that finally came out, that had been changed and resolicited. It took forever. So I believe by the last regular shipping week of December is when the final graphic novel solicited through Diamond by DC will ship. So whatever we have already ordered will continue to ship. Diamond will continue to provide copies of those books to Diamond Comics, to comic stores that have already ordered. But line in the sand, boom. Oh, sorry. I missed a huge point. Diamond, DC pulled out of Diamond Previews catalog. They pulled out entirely. And this really was the big warning sign that they didn't have a catalog.
Yeah, come on. That was me yelling at a cloud.
Well, they didn't have a catalog, and they had no plan for a catalog. They have a purely digital catalog now. So there is no physical print order catalog for your monthly DC Comics. Again, most people don't use this, but it was there for people to do.
So I'll ask a question later about that.
Yeah. So this past Friday, it's not even a week ago. I can't believe how much stuff has happened since then. It's unbelievable. So yeah, that's it. I actually got the email here. Where was it? Publisher DC. Well, hell, let me just read the statement. After 25 years, DC and Diamond Comic distributors are ending their long-standing relationship. This comes from DC. Moving forward, comic retailers can obtain their DC comic books from Penguin or Random House, which is just graphic novels. They're a book distributor. Or their books and periodicals through Lunar or UCS comic book distributors. DC continues to be committed to providing the direct market with best-in-class service and the fans with the world's greatest comic books. So, yeah. Again, for the customers, nothing should change. If your store is like, we're not going to ever order DC Comics again because the distributor's different, well, find a different comic book store. If you're a fan that's mad that DC has changed distributors, why do you care? Like, what does it matter? Do you order stuff on Amazon and you're like, oh, I don't know, the trucking company that shipped the product to Amazon, who cares, right? This is a big deal for us, for the retailers, for the people behind the counter. but things are getting done pretty quick to normalize this. There may be a week or two of weirdness, but overall, by next week, I think.
My question was, what's going to happen with the for you to put the order in at the end of the month?
Here's everything that I know going forward, and this is some of this is even as of today, as of recording. So comic book stores have their monthly order through Diamond. That means that it stays the same. There's no change there, except there's just no DC product on there. As of right now, a monthly catalog will come out with all the new DC product in it. Digitally, right? It's the DC Current, right? Comic book stores, as of today, there is no quote unquote initial order. So how comic books are ordered, we put an order in, and then usually within a few weeks we can adjust those orders. Final order cutoff, FOC. We talk about it on here all the time. And then 3 weeks later, the books ship. That's normal procedure. For the time being, that there is no initial order. Now, I believe the plan is that there is going to be. But as of today, there isn't one. There is only the FOC. Now, the reason this is okay for now is because the coronavirus pushed back books by a number of months. So there are already solicited issues, and the new catalog that came out digital only, while Diamond will not fill those books, they are already in our systems, if that all makes sense, right? So we're fine for everything. Every comic book store has all the info they need to order all DC comics on their initial order up through the end of this month. My assumption is by the time the next catalog comes out in a few weeks for books due the end of July, UCS and Lunar will have their initial orders figured out. Because some people just put those numbers in once and don't go back. Most stores go back through FOC and adjust, and that's it's a big part of the industry.
So is that order going through Lunar and UCS? Is that going through this week or this month? Is that going through them?
Yeah. So the final FOC was June 1st. So there was no DC Comics on FOC last week. Now, if you were on Comic Hub, there was. If you were on Pullbox, there was. Because those books were still in Diamond's system. However, none of those books...
Weren't they canceling those orders?
Right. None of those books that were on FOC for DC last week will ship through Diamond. We got a humongous cancellation of all the books that were supposed to be shipped through Diamond that are not.
Yeah.
But again, for the customer, nothing changes. We just move our orders over to the new distributor.
So
Kevin's raised his hand. Hold on.
I'm going to ask you a question because I think
this is all like way inside baseball
I know.
Stuff here.
And to bring it a little out of baseball, for people listening, there's probably a question that a lot of people are wondering, and I'm going to put you on the spot to answer it, Ryan.
And I wanted to explain to people what's going on behind the scene, but then I want to also let people know what the customer end of this is.
Not the customer end.
So
with all of the vitriol and the anger and we're not ordering any, fuck DC, blah blah.
DC sucks, 50% off sale.
Can you just explain to people why retailers would be mad at this? Some retailers. What's their argument?
So I don't disagree that DC could have done this differently. Dropping this on literally the day I reopened the store from a near 3-month shutdown, not the best timing, let's be honest, okay? What DC should have done is told us now and said, DC Comics and Diamond have had a long history together. Unfortunately, we do not feel their current service is up to our standard. As of January 1st, 2021, we will be leaving DC Comics. That allows you, or leaving Diamond Comics. That gives you 6 months to get your orders together, to get the new systems figured out, not 6 days, right? So I totally agree with that. We should have got more heads up on this, right? They should have told us this a month ago, even.
So I agree with the month ago part, but the the little tidbit that I got from the statement put out by Diamond on this was their contract was already up and had been up for a while, and they had asked for a couple of extensions already.
Yep.
And when they asked for the most recent extension, Diamond kind of came back and went, "Why are you asking for all these extensions?"
Yeah, and then DC just pulled out, right?
Yeah.
So I've heard from both. I've actually heard from people on both sides. I've heard from some people that I've heard less specifically from Diamond people, but more like, well, this is just what it is. And a little bit more specifically from some people at DC that are like, yeah, this is actually a really good thing because we had to get away from Diamond. There were big problems. I don't know what those problems are.
Well, I think
there are some.
But the point is like any of these kind of big contracts and stuff, once you sign a contract, you're locked in for a certain amount of time again.
Right.
So from a timing perspective, assuming that they wanted to do this anyways and planned to do this anyways, I'm guessing it got pushed out as far as they could because of the current environment.
Right. This was not something that like they decided overnight. I mean, you can't set up two companies and all this distribution change that quickly. This was something, and again, DC says this in the email they sent out to retailers, that this is something that they had been planning for a while, but due to the coronavirus shutdown, no time, but what better time than the present? Let's just get this over with.
Yeah, getting back to Kevin's question, though, about why retailers are pissed, it's the retailers are pissed because now they have two freight charges, and they're paying they're going to be paying a little bit of money to the two biggest comic book stores in the nation.
Sure.
So, but that's their big complaint, right? Is that they're paying their competitors.
The number one complaint is always change. They don't want to change. I don't necessarily want DC to leave Diamond. It's very easy. I do everything once. Yeah. Perfect, right? I have a couple other distributors that I use, but it's clunky, right? Comic Hub has been really good. By tomorrow, maybe Monday, we're going to have the new companies fully integrated into Comic Hub, something that I did not think was going to happen this quickly. So they're moving very fast.
Well, that's because Stu woke up Friday and went, "Oh shit!"
I even heard that Comic Suite, which is Diamond's point of sale system, is going to allow for the import of Lunar and UCS invoices, which again that's a really good move on Diamond's part because you keep the retailers happy using your point of sale system, even if it's bringing in product from another distributor. Because they're similar. There has to be similarities.
Does Comic Suite deal with like the other ones, like Alliance or any of the other?
Well, Diamond and Alliance are owned by the same company, so I mean, it is the same company. It's all Steve Geppi. So I'm assuming Comic Suite can deal with Alliance stuff, but I don't know. I don't use it. So I think change is the number one problem. I think timing is the number two problem. Supporting your biggest competitors is it's the most ignorant, continuously baffling comment that I hear from these people, because they're the same people that say, "Oh, fuck Amazon. They're my biggest competitor." Amazon is not a competitor. Amazon is Amazon. Amazon is on such a different level. Midtown Comics, Mile High Comics, Midtown and DCBS have completely different models than your single or multi-store local comic shop, right? They are not competitors. Now, I have competitors around here. DCBS isn't one of them. Midtown's not one of them. Every single customer at every single comic book store knows what those companies are, at least has heard of them, seen their advertisements. They've seen the pricing, and yet they still shop with you. Every customer could save money by going to DCBS. Just not even a question, right? You could. If it was purely about money, every single customer would find stuff cheaper on DCBS. That's just the way it is, right? I'm not stupid, but that's no competition. It's not the same market. It is the same product, but a completely different market. It's like Target and your local corner grocery store. They sell some similar product, but are they in the same? Are they competition? They're such different things, right? So to me,
the corner market isn't paying Target for that product.
No,
They absolutely are. You telling me every place, every retail store buys from Amazon, sometimes product for themselves. I have bought stuff from Amazon to sell to customers. I buy stuff from Amazon and Target for supplies and things for myself constantly, right?
No, but you're saying that the corner store and Target that are selling the same items, right?
But
see, the thing is, Ryan, you're saying they're different competitors. Amazon is a completely different beast. I will give you that. DCBS and Midtown are the top of what comic book stores are. They're at the top. That is why stores are pissed off, because it's the top of the chain. That email that went out, they were on it. They're technically a competitor of yours because Diamond distributes to them. Now you're going to be paying them a little bit of money to get your DC Comics.
But the thing is, it's no different than Diamond. There was multiple people that had.
You're paying Diamond. Diamond's not a competitor of yours. Diamond's a distributor. This is the problem.
But they used to be a comic book store. All those distributors used to be comic book stores or sold comic books. Diamond is going to start dealing in like back issues and like dealing with other stuff. Diamond Diamond Toys sells directly on the web. All those Diamond Select toys you can buy directly from Diamond. So like this is not new, right? While they are a distributor first, they do supply customers with product and not your weekly comic books. But these companies are while they are owned in part by the same group, they are separate. There is, I have to believe DC is going to be vigilant in making sure there's no favoritism there. I expect there may be some stock issues as they try to find out which locations need additional stock. It's going to take a while for order history to kind of be figured out. But I don't. Look, stores can be mad. They could do one of two things. They can buy from DC or buy from Lunar and UCS, or they cannot carry DC Comics. I mean, those are your two options. Like, it's not a choice, right? It's not like, oh, we're gonna make these new companies and give them better pricing and do all this stuff to drive you away from Diamond. No, they straight left Diamond. So again, this isn't a question. It's like, well, we're just gonna move over to new people. Who cares? Like. You could be mad that they own them, but like, fuck. I mean, DC's owned by AT&T, right? Marvel's owned by Disney. Everything's owned by something. Like, who cares? Like, to me, it's like, who cares? I get the product. I get to service my customers. I get it at the exact same price as before. Now, shipping's a little bit different because they're just getting started. However, we've already talked to them about bringing it in with our normal shipment that we get from Diamond. Same place, same. Comic book stores have options. It's their own fault for not looking into it, right? We left UPS. We changed a bunch. So, like, you can fix the shipping problems at Diamond. That's all on the comic stores for being lazy and not doing it. So, I mean, again, I have bought comics from Midtown to sell to customers. I've bought comics from Midtown for myself. They are a different thing. And again, if you don't want to give them money, you don't have to. You could stop carrying DC Comics, so you could buy them on the back end from another store. But like, again, it's not an option for 99.9% of comic stores.
It's you either do it or you don't. Yeah. And like, it's change sucks, but hey, I think the hardest thing, is literally that when the information dropped, like when all of this is taking place, like.
It was really out of nowhere, but
isn't necessarily the best.
So,
well, it's not a PR thing. This is a logistics thing, and
it is out of nowhere. But at the same time, and I've given this a lot of thought. The same reasons why this is the worst time for some people is also why it's the best time for some people. Because you don't have a Metal 2 about to come out. You don't have these huge books over the next month that, if things get fucked up on, are major issues. This gives them a chance to sort of ramp up a little bit
next week.
And stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say you do. It's just they're coming from Diamond, right? They started with the slow ramp up.
What I mean is with the new distributor and stuff, they have a bit of time while things are still ramping back up.
They are distributing. I mean, so if you stuck with Lunar or UCS, your store could still. I know stores, right? They're still getting them, but right, this gives them another whole month for them to like get all the logistics figured out. And I mean, again, I can't speak to UCS, but to Lunar's point, I mean, they have been very responsive. They've replied immediately. They've made massive changes very quickly based on suggestions. They've replied to me personally, and my comments. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but specific things I've brought up have then immediately been in an email I've got from them, like to every company later in that day, explaining some upcoming changes. So they're listening, right? I mean,
yeah, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is when you think about these really big DC books that have come out, where we've done like the midnight releases, where you were getting massive amounts of copies and stuff, you don't necessarily have one of those immediate. Like you do have them in the pipeline for much later, but not for like the immediate release right now.
Again, no. We just had the Catwoman 80th anniversary, Joker 80th anniversary. Metal is next week.
But again, those.
So, yeah, Metal 2 is next week.
Oh, I didn't realize Metal 2 is next week. I thought that got pushed back.
No. Well, it got pushed back to June.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, let's talk about the important book that's out on Tuesday, Strange Adventures #2.
Yeah, that's finally coming out. So there is going to be some, shifting slowly.
I guess the point, as we sort of talked about, what they were doing to ramp back up the industry, the shipping that's going on right now is nowhere near the shipping that was going on prior to the coronavirus in terms of quantity, number of books, everything. Yeah. If I was going to make a major sort of distribution change, that would be the perfect time to do it while things are ramping back up this way.
Well, it allowed them to. DC was able to get the books back, ship them to Lunar and UCS for stores that ordered them, readjust those orders, filled back to Diamond. There has been some hiccups. Like there was a Catwoman book that just like we didn't get, and Lunar and UCS didn't get enough copies, like one of the variant covers. So like there's a couple hiccups, right? There have been some problems. This is not perfect. But like, look, the shipments we got from Lunar, every single one was perfect. There was not a single damaged product. It was packed immaculately, right?
Because they knew it was going through UPS.
Yeah, well, no, it's FedEx, right? So they ship direct through FedEx. Diamond, the week prior to the shutdown, has this asinine new system where they're automatically shipping reorders. So if I reorder product once a week, they ship orders out directly instead of going through our weekly shipments. The problem there is they direct ship from UPS ground, which is just destroys every package we ever get from Diamond. We moved our weekly shipments over to FedEx Freight, and our shipment damages are 0. So I've even I even put in I did this whole complicated thing to get it so they would include the books in our weekly shipment, and they still ship them directly. I talked to our regional rep at Diamond, and I'm like, dude, I can't have this stuff shipped direct. It gets destroyed. He said, it's the only option right now. We just because we don't have as many people in the warehouse, this is the only way we're going to be able to ship. He says, we're trying to work on a way to get him back in the weekly shipments. But all that means is I'm going to continuously get destroyed books from Diamond through UPS. So, Diamond does some dumb stuff. They're far from perfect, right? This was a really dumb decision at a really bad time. Because we're trying to fill in a lot of product. Again, we had a local store closed the first day of the shutdown, so I'm still hunting down books for some of those people. All right, we had a lot of new customers come over, and it's like I'm gonna have to figure this out. I got to try to track the stuff down, and we've had endless problems trying to get some of this because it's like, the third shipment from Diamond is just destroyed top to bottom. It's not Diamond's fault; it's UPS's fault, but it's Diamond's fault for starting this, for starting this new shipping model, right when this happened. So. Yeah. So for customers, again, there should be no change. If your store...
Well, as long as POS systems can integrate the Lunar and UC thing into the regular FOC and then separate out that data. So you're only having one FOC instead of 2. Even if you have 2, it's fine. But
yeah, Comic Hub, it's all going to be integrated. I don't know what Diamond and Pullbox are going to do. So if you use the Pullbox service, the actual Diamond Comics pull box app at your comic store, I don't think it's going to have DC product in there. I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. I don't know, because it's tied into Diamond. Comic Suite, like I said, should, if your store just sends out like a newsletter, it's all going to be in there. Again, no change. No change from the customer point of view. I mean, yeah, and if your store is telling you like this is garbage, I mean, really, they could have done it better. They could have given us more heads up. But does it change anything? No, it's fine. It'll be fine. Give it a couple weeks. All the little kinks will be worked out. It'll be fine.
Did you see the Eric Stevenson letter?
Yeah. No, see, there's a funny thing about that. Oh, well, again. So I know, before I get to that, Brock, you're not going to get a print catalog. You're just not. DC is not going to send out print catalogs.
No, I know. I'm not going to get a print one.
No, I think so. They're going to have that digital catalog, and I think they're going to start doing like some sort of checklist or order forms you can give to your comic store, right? So there is still going to be some form of order of being able to hand in a physical order. I think.
I mean, probably I'll just look at the solicitations off of.
It's all going to be a comic up, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, like one of the news channels be like, all right, well, I want that, and then worry about variants at FOC. So
yeah. But I think I think DC did underestimate the amount of people that still turn in physical order forms, because there was a huge thread on DC's retailer forum about this. And
a bunch of old men screaming at cloud.
Some stores were like, yeah, it doesn't matter. And some stores were like, yeah, we still have like 90% of our customers fill in previous physical handwritten order forms. So I don't know how that evens out. I mean,
well, I think the difficult thing is it goes to a completely different issue, which is like internet availability in like other parts of the United States. Here,
sure,
in the Silicon Valley, I mean, you're plugged in all the time, so and internet runs fine. You're in some podunk small town outside of a major city. You don't necessarily have the internet speed or like
a couple people commented that they had their very tech conscious people, they like the unplugging nature of previews where they could just sit down with the physical book. So I get that, but again, look, guys, we've just got to move on, and you got to move to the future. I don't think the previews catalog as it exists today will be around in 18 months. I just don't think it will. I think there's so many reasons to move on from that monthly print catalog.
Yeah, but that's a lot of stuff that people have to sort through. And I know
I've talked to
a couple of customers that are like, if I don't see previews, I don't see random stuff, and I don't care.
And there's definitely that reality to it, that if you're willing to sit there and go through every page in previews and stuff, you'll notice all sorts of stuff. I mean,
yeah,
I think everybody on the podcast right now has done that more than they would like to admit.
Oh yeah, of course. But how many people are going through and paying $4 and flipping through that catalog versus how many people can just look at a website?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking thousands versus untapped millions if we push people.
And in terms of the amount of people who are still doing that, so much of what people do is habit. It's not, could they look up the list online or something? It's just like, this is how I've always done it. And the only way to sort of change that for those people are making that way not available anymore.
I still can't get Toby and Scott to go through Comic Hub. And I'm just like, guys, you don't have an option. Scott's like, how come you didn't put me down for this Legion of Superheroes book? I said, did you add it on Comic Hub? He's like, no. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do?
I've told you. Just put anything you think is good on Scott's list. He doesn't complain.
You have a system that is way better than flipping through a random catalog.
Yeah, but I think what it is when you flip through the catalog, like we talked, you find stuff that you might not have skipped. If you told me I had to go through an entire catalog online, I'd be like, yeah.
Well, no, see, and this is where FOC has become so important, because I pushed Diamond very strong. I said, look, we have seen a huge increase of random shit selling when the shutdown lifted and they started to have FOC again.
When they started having the random products on FOC, that's fine because it breaks it down into a chunk that's manageable.
Exactly.
But when you have a catalog that's that big, nobody's going to go through the entire catalog digitally. You won't.
But that's what I mean. I think the days of it, I think DC sees the writing on the wall. I think initial orders are going to go away. I think this weekly FOC is what the future is because it's a much more compact, specific list of product that is way easier to look through than a giant catalog, way less intimidating, and with things like Pullbox and Comic Hub makes it way easier to go through.
And I would assume would lead to way less things getting solicited than canceled, than resolicited, than canceled, than resolicited.
Correct.
But you also the thing too is you have, that's great. The problem is you don't have, you need to, like what I think they were trying to spin when they said digital, we're going to have interviews and you can click on things and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
is the solicitations are going to have to be a little bit more like, they're going to have to be a little more eye-catching and a little more like, this is what we need you to look at.
Why? It's the exact same as the previous catalog. It's literally the exact same catalog. They took the diamond logo off. It's no different.
No, I know.
What's the difference?
But what they're talking about is making it more interactive and making it have these extra added features.
Yeah, that'd be great, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, and so as more and more of this stuff started dropping online even before previews came out, I've stopped looking at previews for DC and Marvel in general because I already know what's come out because I see it on my feed and stuff the week or two before previews comes out anyway.
Well, right.
I might flip through previews for some of the other stuff.
They can still have the, third week of June that you can release the monthly catalog, quote unquote, the monthly list in Newsarama and their own website or something like that, right? And then August, the 4 weeks in August, those books come up for order. The entire initial order, while I still do it and while I still think it's valuable for some stuff, could go away completely if Diamond moved everything over to FOC. And they already, like the toys, the entire back half of previous catalog, every single item in there has already been ordered by the time it hits the print previews catalog. It's worthless. It's there as fucking filler at this point. It does. The stuff is shipped and sold out before the print catalog is released. Like it's just not a system that works anymore. So I think you're going to see that go away completely. Like, I think DC is just ahead of the curve on this.
To a degree, we've even seen that a little bit with like the Diamond new to order stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what that is.
Well, but the new to order is sort of different than the FOC, but it's literally sometimes I'll pull up the new to order page and be like, wow, this is coming out in 2 weeks.
Well, right. So new to order is mostly toys and statues, and it's there, and it's shipping sometimes quite a ways off, but sometimes pretty quickly. And that same product is what's in the back half of the previous catalog. And again, almost everything in that back half of the catalog has already been ordered or has already shipped or has already passed its order date by the time the physical catalog comes out, making it worse than worthless. It actually damages it because I've had people order from the print catalog and I'm like, I can't get this. We had to order it 6 weeks ago when it was on new to order, and now the print catalog has finally come out. It actually is a bad system at this point for Diamond. I do not believe the Diamond catalog will be around in 2022. I think they get rid of it. I think it's going to take some time, but I think they have to. I don't think it makes sense anymore, just with the way they solicit products now. The way it goes. So again, if you're a customer, there shouldn't be any hiccups. Again, there could be select books that are missed in the shake up. Again, I'm still waiting for that Catwoman variant. I don't know if we're ever going to get it. But I mean, if your retailer says something crazy, like we're not going to order DC books anymore, can I recommend customer.comichub.com? Sign up at Comics Conspiracy. We are more than happy to ship you your comic books. So,
oh god, more shipping. I shipped almost 20 items today.
I know.
Fuck. And I got the handles done.
I know. It's good. Very good, Brock. So yeah, it's weird, but it's fine. You get used to it.
So what do you think is going to happen with? You think Marvel and DC are going to be a little bit more, like say, hey, you might want to pay attention to the ordering of this in case there's like first appearances or big drops.
DC has been better. DC has given us more advanced notice. They've given us. They've been getting better at this. Marvel's been a little better at this too.
Because that's one of the big things. Is like the initial order and the kind of the FOC was kind of like that. You put in your initial order, and then you were supposed to kind of get that.
Yeah,
that tease about it, or like
we get advanced copies of like Batman 92. There's more. They're going to start. DC apparently wants to start doing a lot more advanced order copies. You know, Dan Didio, he said this recently, even on Dan Sheehan's video cast. He's like, no one didn't sell comics because they were spoiled, right? Spoilers only increase sales. I don't like to be spoiled on stuff, but the excitement that comes out, you know, DC's not giving stuff to retailers to spoil. They are watermarked, and we actually get in a lot of trouble if we spoil stuff. But you know, I don't care. Like if I get spoiled, whatever. It's, you know, it's my job to know what's in these books, so it's like it doesn't bother me. But yeah, no, I mean, there's. Would you rather have a book not be available and you're surprised, or would you rather have maybe you lose the surprise, but then you're actually able to read the book you want to read? I mean, being surprised goes away the day the thing comes out, because unless you're actively avoiding spoilers, you're gonna get spoiled. I mean, like when Metal happened and Sandman shows up in it, I read that like the day prior. I was like, oh no! But hey, that was awesome. I told some people that Sandman was in there, sold some extra copies. So yeah, it did its job, right?
So I agree with you that it doesn't affect the sales of the book, other than the fact that there are times when a spoiler hits the web or something that makes a book hard to find for normal readers, which makes it less about spoilers, but just sort of like was brought up earlier today with like Legion and such.
Yeah.
When that stuff happens, because people realize there's something in there that may have some value to it, that's where...
Yeah, that's a little different, though. Like, with DC going, like, here is every appearance of Punchline, here's where she's going to be, here's her full origin issue, you need to pay attention to these issues. Again, that is a spoiler, but it is one that lets us know what's going on.
Stores need to know so that they can order properly.
Marvel has come out and said, you know, again, it's, you know, how high should I jump this time, Marvel? But they have been much better at not pimping nonsense. Like, they actually have been like, hey, this is going to be actually kind of a big thing. Like, it's a first appearance, it's a new character, blah blah blah. So
I think what
both companies are better.
Like something like, you know, the whole, like something like Legion 6, right? A book that, you know, stores have kind of leveled out in the ordering and all that stuff. But you're having these two new characters pop up, and DC didn't really say anything.
But that's speculate. The reason they're...
But the thing is if they had told you as a retailer, would you have ordered a couple more copies?
I mean, we knew. I mean, it says like, oh, new character, like, you know, yeah, Gold Lantern. Like, we knew pre-FOC.
But did you order extras?
No. And the reason speculators jump on it is because the speculator market is looking for low print run stuff. Speculators were out for... I mean, we sold a shitload of the Batman 92s, but there was no heat on the book per se because everyone was able to pre-order and everyone knew what was coming. We still sold way more than we would have, but it wasn't hot.
But for me, that's where a lot of the reality of spoilers is always interesting to me, because spoilers in general, assuming that's a good spoiler, does result in more sales of a book.
Yeah.
It's just, again, hard to understand or even predict sometimes what that particular spoiler will do in terms of sales.
Well, and with comic book speculation, again, you're looking at most a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand people, right? It's not hundreds of thousands of people lining up for blocks to buy the new issue of Legion of Superheroes. You have a very small group of people that are you know, goosing those issues. So
if you could adjust your order of Legion right now, how many more issues would you have got for the interest that you've already had in terms of people reach out for it?
It's a chicken and egg problem, though, because we wouldn't have, it wouldn't be worth money if everyone ordered a shitload of copies. So no one that would have bought it because it's worth money would have bought it.
Well,
right?
Let's put it this way. Say everybody reached out to you 2 weeks ago because they knew these new characters were in it and they wanted to order it.
Yeah. Oh, not many. I mean, we haven't had that many requests.
Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't like we had 100 people calling. It was a handful, but it wasn't like I would have.
But I'm just curious. Do you think, based on the speculators on this, it would be an additional 5, an additional 10, an additional 50?
See, that's the problem, though, right? Because any copy I would have had on Comic Hub would have been bought by speculators, right? So if I had 50 copies on there, every single copy would have been picked up by speculators to try to flip on eBay for $20. But if everyone was able to pre-order it and it wasn't going for any money, then none of those people would buy it, right? That's because this book will be totally worthless, like 99% of speculation books in a few months.
I guess my thing with this, especially on the chicken and the egg thing, is if everybody's buying it now, the book has not, do they even know how rare or not rare it is? Or do they just know that these new characters are in there and there's some amount of buzz?
No, they don't care. No, they don't care about anything. The only thing they care about is the book is worth $20 on eBay. That's the only thing that they care about.
But what I'm saying,
they don't read the superheroes. They don't care about the characters.
Everybody was aware of it and whatnot. Nobody knows. For all you know, some shop somewhere else ordered 50,000 copies of this book.
Maybe
the speculators wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that. All these people wouldn't know that, and therefore, this book may be much more available. Which means the amount of interest from people who would pre-order it on Comic Hub and throw it up on eBay and all that is just based on knowing that these new characters are getting introduced tomorrow.
But that's the problem.
Or today. You know what I mean.
Yeah. If someone had those books and they were slowly putting them out, they're going to be $20, and the people that are willing to pay $20 for that book are almost no one. So then the book drops to 15, and then no one can sell it. Then it's 10, then it's 5, then it's cover price, and it's $1 book. And the store that ordered 50,000 can't sell 49,900 of them. Right? The whole reason speculation exists is because they're buying on a short run product. Speculation doesn't work on a high-run product.
My curiosity, the only time I know what the print run on a book is when we've done the sales charts.
Yeah,
basically.
Oh yeah.
Up until that, all I know really is, did the shop get a lot of copies or not?
Right.
So I'm just curious in terms of this being sort of a fuel right now for the speculator market, and you're talking about Batman 92 and how many more of those you sold. And stuff like that. In terms of the conversation about spoilers and all that, especially now with the Tuesday release dates and everything else, there's not really going to be a such thing as not spoiled for a good percentage of the market.
Right. And digital comics, right? Digital DC books go up early Tuesday. So.
Yeah. So I would assume by knowing a bit more and stuff, hopefully that does translate to certain trends to be able to say, okay, new characters, because of speculator market, I should order additional 5 copies or whatnot in the long run.
Yeah. Well, with split distribution, DC books may become harder to find because they're going to have to cut that in half, right? I mean, we could use both distributors, but from a financial point of view for shipping, it doesn't make sense to only order select things from the other people. So we're going all Lunar, but we'll see what happens.
What are sales charts going to look like?
Well, Comic-Con's going to figure that out, because if they get sales numbers, they can put those all together, right? Because they have the estimates from Diamond, and if they get sales charts from Lunar and
you're UCS, they can. Bryce is finally going to be happy that it's all top 10.
All Marvel. Yeah, all Marvel from Diamond. So, yeah. You may have lost one of my favorite parts of this podcast, the sales charts. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens over the course of the next few months.
You can just start doing the shop sales charts. What were your top 10 books?
We've obviously Comic Hub has a lot of stuff they're working on, so this is not the time to ask them to do this. But we've asked in the past to get variant covers merged in, and it's just hard at the end of the year because I can't pull. They don't all pull into one number, right? So I wish I could.
Hey, if they can attach two ISBN numbers to the same product and pop up a stupid window, then they can get variant covers to stick with the book.
I don't know. Diamond, any questions? Anyone? Kevin?
I was taking it all in. I was just thinking the last thing I think I asked you was the Eric Stevenson image letter.
Oh, yes. So Eric Steven,
he's a publisher.
Yeah, see, what's his official position?
Yeah,
publisher at Image. So he's not wrong in some. She's a huge letter. You can go.
It's a letter
online.
Written to the Image staff.
To the staff, yeah. Not wrong in some cases. The reason, and I said this a long time ago, that the reason I didn't think anyone would leave Diamond was because I didn't think a publishing company would do what Marvel did in the 90s and create and go into self distribution, and because they had Heroes World, and this is around the time they went bankrupt, and that is what made Diamond the monopoly, quote unquote, that it is because Marvel was trying to self distribute, went bankrupt, had to close down. And then with Marvel and DC at Diamond, there's 80%, 90% of the industry. So there you go. Everything else closed. The reason it doesn't, his piece doesn't work, his complaints doesn't work, is because DC is not self-distributing this product. Now, I don't know, but to the best of my knowledge, they have no financial investment in Lunar USC. These are independent of DC. Again, as far as I know, I have not read anything to say that DC or AT&T have any sort of financial stake in it, or Warner Brothers. So Marvel at the time, being a publishing company, publishing and distribution are two very different things. They didn't have a system set up, and so they didn't have the expertise or the knowledge in shipping product properly. Whatever you think of DCBS in Midtown, they do. They do have warehouse systems set up. They do have the knowledge. They do have the employees. They are independent of DC. So any concern with these companies having financial problems down the line, at the end of the day, doesn't affect DC, because although I'm sure Diamond would ream them over a barrel, but they could always go back to Diamond, right? This isn't a case where like they would go out of business because they have no financial ties to these companies. So while I do think a lot of what he said is right about the timing, about some of the problems, the bigger argument of this has been done before and didn't work is actually not correct. So I'm going to give him 50-50. He's not wrong in many cases.
The headline quote from his letter is hasty sociopathic decisions on the part of DC.
I mean, again, DC knows stuff that we don't. The public doesn't know, right? The comic stores don't know. Whatever DC's decision, they were having bigger problems than we know of. I mean, some of the comments from DC came down to Diamond just not innovating, right? Diamond, and they have, I think, it's in a lot of ways. God, compared to Penguin and Random House, which is the distributor, the major book distributor that distributes DC product, as well as other companies, Archie and other companies. Diamond is like Apple compared to those guys. They are like the most archaic nonsense. All these book distributors are awful, right? I will only use them in extreme cases for a restock going forward of DC product. The shipping is terrible. The rates are terrible. The ordering system is non-existent. It's so archaic.
So I'll let everybody know so when we receive the product from Penguin, or what's the other one?
Bookazine.
Bookazine.
Bookazine is, I think, better than Penguin. Honestly, it's more intuitive.
But we get get our invoices on a dot matrix printer printout. Yeah. This is how not innovative these places are. I can hear the printer printing up this invoice.
I mean, they made these websites in 2003 and haven't looked at it since. Diamond has innovated at least the ordering system. They've innovated the warehouse system. Any other, I'm unaware of what DC's specific issues are, and no one will know, right? Unless DC.
Diamond wasn't going to pay any of them during the shutdown.
But they did, right? I mean, I think everyone has to take a step back from that and go, look, nobody was paying anyone. So Diamond has paid Image, right? I mean, Diamond would have paid DC. They went through a payment plan with all these publishers, or all these vendors.
Wait, Diamond was on a payment plan?
Yeah. Oh, and again, Diamond is really good for the direct market. Diamond has provided many stores, myself included, with payment options and delays in payment during rough times. They've worked with stores, both big and small. They've there are problems, like anyone, right? Like any business is going to have problems, but overall, they just don't. They didn't have the massive problems that I think. At least I didn't see. But Diane Nelson, right, used to be Warner Brothers and head of DC Entertainment, and she made a public comment that Diamond may not even be what was her word? Like they're basically going to go out of business, right? I don't remember her exact phrasing, but they're insolvent, right? Like they have no money. I don't know. I have no idea, right? Steve Geppe's a scumbag. He's a Trumper, right? I mean, the politics aside, what do you think of the company? I mean, the people there have done right by me, right? So
except when you can't except when they have a high turnaround, I know, in like warehouse and.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, again,
how many reps have you gone through just owning the shop?
Well, they stopped. Well, we actually didn't. We went through a very few reps compared to most stores, but they've actually done away with the rep system entirely. Everyone just dumps now into a general. If you have a rep, you still have a rep, but for almost every store at this point, you just dump into the general like rep basket and they deal with you one-on-one, which is totally fine. It's the way it should be.
It's basically whoever. Well, I mean, you lose out on some of that personality stuff. I mean, the guy that used to come around, like, because
those are different. The regional reps are different. Like we still have our regional rep, our new regional rep, Dave Hawksworth. I mean, he passed away unfortunately, but our guy Tim, really nice guy. I actually talked with him a couple times in email over the last few days while we've been trying to work some of this stuff out. But yeah, they. That's separate. The actual like person that I don't care who takes my damage order, like whatever.
Yeah, no. But there's having some. I think having that regional person and having the dump is fine, right? I'm saying if they're just doing the dump, no, you got to have somebody that's personalized, that's going out that connects with the businesses.
Sure. I mean, it's nice to have someone you can email and you have that knows. But the person dealing with the day-to-day, just random reports, it doesn't matter.
I wonder how confusing this will make it for Diamond's like mystery shoppers.
But they stopped the program.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they stopped. They had to, right? Because they had to because of the shutdown, and now they're like, well, they could sell DC books on Tuesdays. I mean, they could, right? They could come in and restart it, but for now, they've stopped it. It was dumb anyway. Mystery shoppers were the worst.
Oh, they were. Horrible.
The most obvious. Yeah, it was nonsense. So we'll obviously have more to say about this as time goes on. I mean, I'll report with any weird changes. But again, if you're a customer, and again, 99% of the people listening to the podcast are not retailers. So I know we have a lot of retailers that listen, but many aren't. So if your retailer is bitching about this, just be like, but I could still buy Batman from you? Yeah? Okay. And then
cool story, bro. Give me my
that's
Batman.
The end of that's the end of the conversation. Be like, cool. All right. Well, you got my copy of Batman 93 coming in 2 weeks? Yeah. All right, fine. Like that's all you care about is that. So I have a couple other
other news. There's other news that happened, right?
Some stuff happened in the last day or two, but we'll talk about that next week. I still have the stuff from Tuesday that we'll leave on here. Amazing Spider-Man Venom Free Comic Book Day book and the X of Swords prologue. Remember X of Swords? That's the thing that's happening.
Yes, I do.
Wow, I forgot all about
the Hammers thing.
What about my what about
Marvel?
my Empire? Is that out?
They're hauling ass on Empire. It starts soon. I think like 1, 2, and 3 are like all coming out in July or something. Yeah. They are coming out very quickly. So July 5th will be Marvel Free Comic Book Day. So the Spider-Man Venom lead in, which is going to have a Tom Taylor book, and there's I think isn't there a second book? Oh, sorry, no. Tom Taylor's doing one of the X-Men books. What's isn't who else doing the Spider-Man book? Oh yeah, it's Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman, and a Black Cat, Jed McKay, and Patrick Gleason. So the Venom one's supposed to be a big deal. X of Swords, I mean, whatever Hickman's doing, I guess. So during this shutdown, I read a lot of Marvel comics, so I'm caught up on all the X-Men comics. Woof. What in the? I mean, X-Men is still interesting. Yeah. I don't know where it's going, but like, one
issue's okay. One issue is horticulturally bad. Another issue is like great, and then it's like bad.
What is happening? Like, yeah, but all those tie-in books are just like, okay, guys, are we still doing this? Like, is this still happening?
X-Force felt like the only one that like had like a story going through.
New Mutants, I have no idea. New Mutants changes stories every other issue, so I have no idea what else going on in that book.
Like 3 issues, and then back to space, and then
I don't understand. But I'm like, Marvel just canceled everything at 12 issues, so I'm assuming these are all done, right? Like they're just going to cancel the entire X-Men line and reboot it again, other than maybe the Hickman book, because none of these books will continue, right? They have to all be ending very soon. Because I don't.
They got to keep releasing those graphic novels with only one issue from each one.
Yeah,
the graphic novel.
That is the way I have read these books. I could not think of a worse way to read these books. I should have actually just read them like in order of the series, because they are if hard. You read them in the reading order in the back of the book, or like the monthly like Dawn of X trade, no. No.
Talking about the X books just always immediately makes me think about the last time I talked to Bryce. I explained to him about the one issue trades and the X of Swords and like all this stuff. Telling Bryce what was going on, trying to get a reaction from him.
When there's 18 X-Men books and Bryce is buying 2 of them, something has gone wrong. Okay.
Wow.
I think he's only buying X-Men and New Mutants, and I think the only reason he bought New Mutants is because I put it on his list because Hickman did it, and he just never took it off his list.
And we're still getting that Moira book at some point, right?
Sure. Right next to Saga and
AKA Mr.
Miracle Man.
Remember when we were talking about how House of Powers was really good and really interesting?
I do remember, and I stand by all those comments.
And then 2020 happened.
Well, Scott Snyder has laid out a number of upcoming death metal books. So if you're feeling more like big multiverse craziness, we're getting a lot more detail. More stuff has actually come out since this, but again, we'll save that for next week. There are a couple new one-shots that are going to be part of that, and these will all be in the new previous catalog when it comes out. There's the Death Metal Trinity Crisis, Death Metal Speed Metal, and Death Metal Multiverses End. So that all comes. That's going to be their skip month between issues 3 and 4. So those all come out in September. Are we going
to get Scott on before this to talk about Death Metal too?
I mean, I would love to talk to him again.
Work your magic, Higgins.
The Trinity Crisis teams up the Anti-Monitor, the Dark multiversions of the Anti-Monitor, Darkseid, and Superboy Prime.
Oh, fuck. God damn.
He's back twice, baby.
Eat shit, Higgins.
Once in Shazam and once in Death Metal. We've been Superboy Prime for years.
You get joy out of these announcements because I hate them.
Double.
That's okay. I'll never be able to look at the Anti-Monitor the same way after the Teen Mutant Ninja Turtles Batman crossover number 3.
Did it go into crying or something like that?
Yes, Krang was inside the anti-monitor, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So
wait. So the opposite of dark side is that light side? Sorry, bad joke.
The dark side. So really dark side.
And yes, anybody who hasn't read the Teen Mutant Ninja Turtle Batman crossover books, especially number 3, absolutely should.
Speed Metal teams up Wally, Barry, Jay, and Wallace West, the more recent Kid Flash, as they're fighting off Batman Who Laughs and a bunch of other people, and Multiverse's End by James Tynion IV, which is just the big Justice League throwdown with Perpetua, all the different characters from the multiverse, and Kevin, you're gonna like this because this seems to bring up like a lot of the Morrison's League of Heroes. It has the Superman. I forget his name. I forget the planet he's from. It's Captain Carrot. It has that whole like multiverse.
Earth 23. The Earth 23.
Is he 23? I can't remember
what
Earth.
23.
All the Morrison's like
multiversity. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the President Superman stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited for that stuff. Those Metal one shots the first time around were some of the best parts of Metal. I thought I loved those original one shots.
Now, when they release it, hopefully they do it right when they release the graphic novels.
I'm sure we'll get a nice omnibus down the road. I think that Metal did they announce that Metal omnibus ever? Did they ever actually officially announce that? I know it's happening. And finally, let's end on a
with the news.
Bit of an odd news. I mean, we already knew we're losing Ruby Rose as Batwoman on Batwoman next season, and all sorts of weird rumors. But they actually came out and said that they're not going to kill her off or anything like that. They're supposed to have some new character. Whatever. We'll see what happens with that. After setting up for the entire season what was supposed to be kind of a big push for the Elongated Man in Flash Season 7, the Flash team has fired Hartley Sawyer, the actor that plays Elongated Man, for not so secret, very poor, misogynistic and racist jokes he made on Twitter 8 years ago or so. This is actually one of the things we talked about on the Geekbox this past week, so I'm going to kind of replicate some of my statements from there, but you guys are more than welcome to jump in here as well. I mean, it's a little bit like the James Gunn thing, where I don't know that he actually ever apologized for this stuff in the past. I think maybe he just thought he did it and he was just being some dumb edgelord and it moved on from it. Yeah, they're not even jokes. They're just really stupid comments. I would think that this is maybe not indicative of his actual feelings. It just felt like he was trying to be edgy and stupid, and maybe it came off bad. But you got to be careful what you say on the internet, because especially if you're famous, the stuff can't come back to you. So it's unfortunate, because I don't know if they're going to have a new actor come in and replace him, if they're going to replace the character, because they brought in Sue Dibney, and her entire story revolves around Elongated Man. So it might be a little odd if they go in a totally different direction with her. But it's obviously based off the events of the last couple of weeks. Clearly, a bunch of racist tweets are maybe not the best thing you want to have come out. So I'm going to assume they made the right decision here. It is unfortunate that people decided to do this. But just be careful what you say. I'm sure I've said some dumb stuff on the internet. Don't go digging up my tweets, I guess. I don't think I've been super racist. I don't know. I hope I haven't.
I guess especially after the James Gunn thing, like this, I don't really have a problem with this sort of firing. I'm amazed that all this wasn't vetted in the past. Like it throws me a little bit that this.
And he had long apologized for it, right?
Yeah.
That's why it feels. Huh?
Gunn is and I mean, sorry, I don't remember the correct name for the Elongated Man's actor off the top of my head.
Hartley Sawyer.
Hartley Sawyer has put out a statement, sort of not against his firing or anything, sort of accepting his responsibility in this and stuff. But I have to figure whoever hired him, like they have to have a process to go look at the person's social media, vet the person they're adding to the show. And I find it really, really weird that either that person didn't do their job or they didn't do something to be like, okay, there's this stuff here, we should have him delete or something. It just,
right.
I kind of feel like in a lot of ways he should never have gotten hired if this was in the past, unless it was addressed in some way that they felt it wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
Because the stuff that was in those statements and stuff, anytime they were uncovered, would become an issue.
Yep. Yeah. I think intent is such a major thing. And, if you make a bunch of dumb racist jokes or tweets as a joke or misogynistic or whatever the case is, it's easy to understand that you might, that might be that person's actual intent, right? I think in the case of someone like Roseanne, when they fired her, this was not because of like some one comment she made once. This was years and years of this type of behavior.
And she was doing it while things were going on.
Right. With people like James Gunn and Hartley Sawyer, there is kind of this weird, like, oh, I pulled this thing out of the past to get them in trouble now. So it is a little questionable how much of this is actual. Look, people change, right? I'm not, especially if you're a young actor, young comedian, again, someone like James Gunn, right? I mean, working for Trauma. Trauma was all about shock and horror and schlock. And so the things he'd said were fitting of that persona. Now, if this goes on for decades and you don't learn and you become worse, this fucking like Dr. Disrespect. You know this guy? You know this YouTube guy? Charlie, your kids, they watch this asshole. There are some people that like, oh, it's a persona, but no, it's actually not, right? Like, you're just a scumbag. You just hide behind this persona. But then there's people legitimately like James Gunn that I think are like, no, I mean, if you were working with Trauma, this was sort of the style. But he long not only apologized for making dumb comments and dumb jokes, but has actively worked to push more positive messages, right? I don't know for Elongated Man. I don't know what his like more recent, the last 8 years, his social media outreach and supporting of causes and blah 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 blah. So I'm not against like someone doing something dumb. Like, look, Roseanne comes out tomorrow and says like, I'm an absolute idiot. I was so wrong. I'm a completely changed person. I'm donating all my money to these charities. I've going back on everything I've said. I'm going to actively work to change. Good, right? That's all you've learned. But that's generally not how these people.
Did any of you get a chance to read any of the tweets at all?
Yeah, they're stupid. Yeah. They're like they're not even jokes. They're just like dumb.
So the thing is I was reading them and some of them are horrible. Some of them are straight bad. But
most of them are pretty horrible.
Yeah,
but like
a lot of them don't make any sense.
Yeah, like to me, it was like, is he drunk texting? Like
it felt like some dumb kid was trying. And he's young, right? He's a young guy.
Well, I mean, the other thing is you're trying to like, how do you grab attention in today's society? Right. You say things that are on the extreme. Yeah. Right. So maybe that was he felt he had to do that to get people to follow him. Whether or not what he said was good or not. Yeah. Do we know what he how he was thinking at the time? No, only he does.
Yeah, and again, if he had been doing this up to last week, then I think there's intent. There's you may hide behind this persona, but that's who you actually are, right? I think again, I don't know. I don't know the guy personally. I don't know his opinions on anything. I don't follow him on social media, so I don't know what he normally. But if you're digging up tweets from 8 years ago that are not indicative of the person today, but maybe they had some problems with him outside of that, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but
with the Elongated Man, it's pretty easy. You just say he got zapped funny, and then this is now his permanent face.
Well, look, when they come back, all they do is Barry runs around the world Batgirl or Batwoman has a different face. Elongated Man, something goes weird in the Gingold, and his face changes, and boom, bing bang boom, new actors, problem solved. Easy way to work around both of them. Don't even have to worry about it. So yeah, that's that.
So what do we learn from that? Don't be a dumbass.
Well, and you also learn delete your old tweets when you get a job.
Or
before you apply, go back, scrape through your social media, and clean it up.
Yeah.
Clean up your digital footprint.
Did you get any questions for this episode?
We got some questions here. We got some Patreon questions from Verum Libertas. It says, with all the craziness of 2020, how much closer are we to a Marvel DC crossover? I don't think we could be further away. Like, the idea of Secret Crisis happening is like a way to like boost the industry and all that. Like, that was a great idea, but like I don't think it's happening.
I think it's far away because we're not in an era now where somebody's going to call up somebody else, who you have a relationship with, meaning like an EIC from DC calling up an EIC of Marvel, because there's too many now layers and levels of these companies. Those old crossovers worked because it just took two people to get it rolling. And
nobody at, the old joke was executives at Warner Brothers had no idea they owned DC Comics, right? I mean, that's sort of like there was, I don't remember who it was, but there's a old story that went back where they were like, oh, they still publish comic books? Like that Superman thing? They actually still make those? Like they own the company and don't even know. So, but it's very different now because the movie rights alone for how the legal rights of a Secret Crisis movie would have to be baked into every issue and like the potential there, right?
Imagine how much money as a retailer if that actually came out.
It'd be huge.
Just the breakaway from Diamond makes it next to impossible.
I feel like that's another hurdle. Yeah. Because the reason it worked the first time was Marvel published 2 issues, DC published 2 issues. I want to say DC had the absolute and Marvel had the trade paperback. I believe I want to say Marvel published the graphic novel. I could be wrong about that. Because I think they split those crossovers too. The crossover ones, I think they had like split ownership of the trade paperbacks, or there was some like they did one and Marvel did the other, and DC did one. Josh Epstein, Geekbox's Josh Epstein has a couple questions for us. Dr. Josh Epstein. First is why is the Eisner font the same as the Disney font? I have no idea.
Is it? Look at the E for the Eisner Award.
Oh yeah. Disney should sue him. It's like why does Sony use the Spider-Man movie font for their PlayStation logos? It's super weird. He also says, I thought I remembered a lot of disparaging comments about Cy Spurrier in The Dreaming, but I read the first volume and enjoyed it. How has the rest of the series been? I believe it's up for an Eisner this year. The disparaging comments are more about Cy Spurrier and his X-Men work and his Marvel work, and that's a lot coming from Bryce and Brock, and less so about The Dreaming specific.
I enjoyed The Dreaming. It was good.
Yeah, it's a little confusing, but...
Oh, yeah. If you haven't read Sandman, you're going to be like, what?
Even having read Sandman, I'm still like...
It's still like...
Yeah. How's this robot thing? I don't understand what's going on here. Suspiria is a difficult... I mean, Grant Morrison's difficult, but in a different way. Suspiria is a difficult writer. I find some of his writing... I don't know. You dropped Hellblazer, right? Didn't you already drop Hellblazer?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I dropped that like the preview issue.
Yeah,
I'm super excited for the Tom Taylor, Derek Robertson one.
Yeah, they just announced that.
Yeah, 3-issue mini. I'm all on that shit.
I like Cy Spurrier more on the stuff like Vertigo. I like him less on the superhero stuff. Yeah. That's all I'll say about that. The Dream is interesting. It's from Nathan. He says, if you can remember, what's the last golden, silver, and bronze age comics you've read?
I mean, I'm getting through that Mr. Miracle trade. I read your favorite issue.
Yeah, Kevin, so that's your Bronze Age answer.
That's like
So I read a big number of Action and Detective on the DC Universe app, the Golden Age stuff. Mm-hmm. So I read probably about the first 20 issues of each of those. I think I read up to the point where like Superman and the Batman comic launched. I think I read like Action up to whatever those issues roughly were, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, because they weren't going to release that nice hardcover of it, and everyone got pissed.
Yeah, the before Batman stuff. I didn't really read through too many, but I've been in the starting of my rebagging and boarding. So I've gone through all my Avengers, my inventory as well as rebagging and boarding. So I actually went through all my Avengers comics and flipped through most of the Silver and Bronze Age Avengers issues. I didn't sit down and read them, but I gave them all a good flip through. But have I actually sat down and read a Silver or Bronze Age comic recently?
I think my Bronze answer for this, although this is kind of stretching the definition of Bronze Age, I'm starting a reread of the Alan Moore Swamp Thing run. So that'd be
like the
pre-crisis.
Last days, pre-crisis.
81, right? 82, somewhere in there. That would be my Bronze Age answer. Golden Age, I read something on the DC Universe. I think it's when Charlie told me about the rewards program, and I just wanted to do a test comic to see if it worked.
Oh, I've read some of the Flash ones. I think it was on that same thing because they had the Flash issues up on like the. I never updated.
Yeah.
Totals.
That happened to me, like Ryan. It took me 6 emails with them to get it corrected. Yeah, it never I was stuck at 70, literally, and it never updated.
Yeah. They have some. Yeah. I've watched every episode of Stargirl. I've read a bunch of the comics and weird.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm at like 900 points now or something.
Silver Age Flash.
I read the couple Flash issues. I read those first.
Yeah, I think they did.
I'm at 110 now. Maybe they fixed it. There you go. Yeah, I read a few of the Silver Age Flash issues because that was one of that. I think the launch week of the rewards. I think that's what those were the issues to read.
Well, so the way the rewards points work, and it doesn't really explain this very well, but pretty much you can watch anything or read anything on the service. You don't have to look at what they're recommending at all. You just read.
Right. No, I think that's what was on there, on their recommended list. And I was like, I'll read.
Yeah.
Flash of Two Worlds?
Showcase 4?
Yeah. No, Showcase 4? Yeah. There you go. I was thinking Flash 104, but that's where they like go back to the numbering. Yeah. Right. Charlie, you read any old stuff recently?
I mean, more flip through because like I got the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1 from the shop the other day, so I flipped through that. But I'm still slowly making my way through the Claremont X-Men stuff, so I haven't really gone too far back other than that stuff. But that's what the app's for when I suddenly decide I want to read this thing.
Yeah. I haven't got as bad as you guys, but now I've been going through my Avengers run, and I'm wondering if I want to pick up some of those trash 90s omnibuses.
Yeah.
Or the crossover stuff at the end of the Avengers, so like The Crossing and a few of the other ones. And I'm like, or maybe I'll just read the crossover issues on like Marvel Unlimited.
No, what's been getting me, and I think I finally figured it out, is so I sit by my comic books to work all day, every day, and I stare at these sections of my wall being like, I have most of this. If I just fill in this hardcover and this hardcover, I'll have up to this point. And I never did get this one to finish this. And that's been causing my brain to go a little crazy recently with I really want to fill in these goals just to have that stuff filled in on my shelf.
Well,
the amount of stuff that I've recently gone back and been like, I intentionally passed on this. I totally didn't want to get this. But now that I see that hole on my shelf where that would go.
With something like The Crossing, I almost wonder if the omnibus that is worthless would just be cheaper than buying the single issues of all these like bankrupt era Marvel comics with minuscule print runs. Because it's like deep into the pre-Heroes Reborn Marvel time, and some of those books, they're out there, but like they're not something like you're gonna find in every store. Like they're Gonna be work.
Diamond's going to carry them for their back.
My answer is just going to be yes, because you're saying, should I get the omnibus?
All right, question from Gilbert. He says, regarding Diamond, is there any plans for international distribution? How does it affect comic readers in the long run? For international distribution, you can buy from Lunar and UCS. Shipping's going to be probably more expensive than when Diamond had their UK warehouse. But they are, as far as I know, they are looking into it. There's talks of a Canadian and a UK distributor being set up to handle this. I don't know anything official about that. That's just some talk I've heard. So I would think international retailers will maybe temporarily see significant shipping increases, but hopefully much sooner than later, those will be
evened out
and reduced down to something more manageable. Hopefully. Will obviously.
Otherwise, is Big Bang going to just start ordering through us?
I mean, the problem is it would, through UCS or Lunar or us, it'd be the same price, right? I mean, the whole idea was that stuff was shipped to Diamond UK, and Diamond UK dealt with international distributing to Europe and the UK, and dealt with all the shipping charges. So I don't know. Finally, from Craig Anderson, final question of the night. He says, I've already identified Ryan's permaban Venn diagram. If you come into the Facebook group and you are a Mark Miller fan, you hate Man of Steel and love Big Bang Theory, permanently banned from the Facebook group.
Oh. I thought maybe I missed something.
No. Maybe.
No. There's a new quiz that when you go to join, and if you answer incorrectly on any of those 3 questions, you're booted.
So what are the 3 intersecting comic book, TV, and movie opinions that will result in a permaban for the rest of you guys? And he wants to know if he got Ryan's right. And yeah, I'll say that's about as right as you're going to get, I think. So
I mean, Ryan loves Man of Steel, so I'm already like, oh God. He pumps Superboy Prime. I'm like, oh my God. He hates Big Bang Theory. I'm like, it's not that bad of a show. So yeah, I don't know why I haven't perma-banned Ryan.
So for you, it's likes. So the comic book is like Superboy Prime. The movie is likes Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And the TV is hates Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're now.
I believe we're at the 7-year anniversary of Man of Steel, Prime. Like as of last week. Oh, those were some good times at the old store.
Yeah.
Those weeks after that movie had been playing for a while, those were some good times.
So, Kevin, if a random troll came into the Facebook group today, and
so
said
for
these
me, it's
3
not
things,
the permaban. My permaban button would be you don't
for?
like certain things, not you do like them. Because my thing with you do like it is like, fine, go amuse yourself. But okay, so the permaban for me would be, what is it? Movie, TV, and comic. Okay, you don't like Love and Rockets.
Comic.
You're out. Movie.
Okay.
Oh, I've got it on this because somebody said this at the theater we were at once. When at the end of Suicide Squad, one of your groupies, yours, Ryan, came up at the end of the movie. That was the night I was in the folding chair, and said, "Well, that was better than both Avengers movies." Okay, out. That was said, dude. It was said 2 feet from me. I don't know. It was somebody who I didn't know.
Who said that?
It came up and said it to you.
Huh.
Okay. You're off the plank.
I mean, I
You're
like
off
Suicide
the plank
Squad,
for that one.
Not. Better than Age of Ultron? Age of Ultron's pretty bad.
It's not bad. It's just mediocre.
If you rewatch it, it's not too horrible.
It's fine.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And TV, there's really nothing. Ryan's kind of already hit this one with his hate for Mad Men. So I'll just leave it at that.
I don't hate Mad Men. It's I just grew tired of it.
Charlie,
we do Charlie.
He doesn't permaban anything.
Charlie,
like omnibuses.
If they come in hating Batman the Animated Series, hating Alex
you didn't even need to ask him.
And no, I don't know what the movie. I don't know what the movie one would be.
You think the movie one animated is the best movie ever?
The movie one would be tough. So far, you have it 2 for 2. Mostly. I was going to say specifically, hates Kingdom Come.
Right.
But Alex Ross works.
Okay.
No, the movie one's sort of interesting because, as you guys has covered, I don't really care if somebody hates a movie I like or likes a movie I hate.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember your ire when that Batman Harley Quinn animated movie.
Oh, yes.
That's what I was like.
That one could do it. That one could potentially do it.
Like,
I'm glad they finally. I'm glad they finally got Harley Quinn right.
Ever.
That would do it.
Okay.
That would just be banned. Doesn't even matter if it's from the Facebook group or the shop or wherever. I just feel like, I can't deal with you. Come back when somebody else is working.
You know, Ryan, my runner-up on that comic question would be All-Star Superman. Yeah. Because I just go, maybe you don't like Superman. Morrison, and that's fine. Well, we know plenty of people who don't, but that's such a... Yeah.
No, it's quietly. Whenever I hear people complaints about it, it's like, the Frank Quitely guy, he draws fat, ugly people. It's so bad. It's so stupid.
Are you trying to sound like Bryce there or something?
Trying to sound like every mouth breather that hates Frank Quitely.
Oh, did any of you see season 2 trailer for Doom Patrol?
You know what? Actually, I did not. I saw that it was up, but I didn't see it.
It looks amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that. I think that actually was like yesterday. That's why I didn't have it on my list. I got to sit down and go through the stuff from the last few days.
June 25th.
Yeah, it's really soon. Really, really soon. I'm excited. All right. We are done. We have a bunch of Patreon people to thank and to pimp. It's the end, or it's the beginning of the month. Technically, last week was supposed to be our Patreon plug episode, but I'll do it now. So kick back, thank all these wonderful people. We always have to thank our high tier backers, including Joe Duff, Andrew Nelson Mendez over Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast, Craig Anderson at craigpanderson.com, James Laws, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum podcast. Hold on. Jesse Peterson at the Comic Book Matters podcast. Mr. Rama at Hellboy_ebooks on Twitter. Give him a follow. And Chav, thank you all for your continued donations. And before we get to the big list, Brock has a question.
Yeah, did we get Craig's girl situation figured out with the whole not watching Stargirl, or is he good now?
I didn't hear back, but I'm going to assume he dumped her.
Wait, are you talking about Craig Anderson
over Stargirl?
Whoa!
Heroes before hoes, man. I mean, that's what Blue and Gold said. So,
I can't wait for Craig to respond to the Facebook.
No. Was it bros before heroes? Is that what they said? Yeah, that's what they said. I figure that's maybe a little bit more.
So, are you going to edit out your previous comment?
There you go.
Okay.
Nah, it's fine.
Oh, that's true. Everyone's tuned out.
It's the back of the podcast. Everyone stopped listening. Everyone's tuned out.
It's okay. In like 8 years, somebody's going to dig this up, and Ryan's going to get fired. It's going to be great.
Ryan Higgins' his canceled party. We have lots of high tier, our monthly backers. We got to thank all our wonderful backers of this month, including Dennis Jensen, Edgar Moreno, Christopher Noyes, Ivan Liskanik, Mark Long, Father Dante, Chris Palaki, Paula Schultz, Brian Morawski, Don Kilson, Tim from Virginia Beach, Andrew Cuscieri, Miles Gokula, David Baroldi, Chris Bunch, Alex McHale, List of the Living Dead, Chris Lockhart, Anirban Banerjee, Jack Ildefonso, PJ Ryder, Joe Castorian over at Identity Stunt, Bryce Larson quotes. Gotta get Bryce back on here. It's been too long. Joseph Rodriguez, Robert Lane.
Talk X Swords with him.
Maybe. Mason Barber, Ames. We'll see how many Marvel books he's read during the shutdown. My guess is 0. Ames Foster, Stephen Septia, Brian Wyckoff, Tim Martin, Tyler Willits, Christopher Haith, Mel V, Zach Johnson, Varum Libertas, Andrew Nikovich, Wally Ansari, Timothy O'Brien, Mario Miranda, John Sepp, Double O Evans, Jeffrey Hirschman, and Josh Pickett. Thank you all for your continued donation at patreon.com/comic conspiracy.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to listen to our previous episodes, comicconspiracypodcast.com, geekbox.net, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So where you can find them. You can go over to youtube.com/comics conspiracy. That's comics with an S. That is our, I guess store, but it's mostly just post the podcast now. So if you just want to listen to the audio on there, you can do that. Those long form questions can go to the Comic Conspiracy at geekbox.net. Of course, comicsconspiracy.biz is where you can buy comic books from us. Brock will ship them. We can have them for hold for you at the store. We've been a little light on ordering because it's just just getting back into the swing of things. So, pre-ordering always helps. If you want to see what Brock's up to, you can go to conspiratorbrock.com or his blog, pull list, and unboxing videos. Charlie has the Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast. And Leanne, my wife, she is over at leannehill.com. You can find her prints over at etsy.com/shop/leannehillart for all her artwork. If you're on Twitter, you can follow all of us. Ryan Higgins Ryan, that's me. Brock is Brock Sager. Charlie is Insanity and Chaos. Kevin is that Kevin Sharp. And the store is Comics Con Store. One letter short. Comics Conspiracy is one letter short. Or one letter too long, sorry, for Twitter. And, of course, you can listen to the Geekbox. I'm sure we're going to talk about the PS5 next week.
That thing looks really good standing up. Don't ever put it on its side.
That thing does not look good standing up or on its side. I'm not into the design of it at all.
I'm hoping they come out with the all black. I like all black on my electronics.
Yeah. And Manga Machinations, been on a few episodes of that. Our friends, they talk about anime and manga, so go check those guys out. Okay. Thank you all very much for listening to this episode. And we're going to continue to talk more about DC, the distribution stuff. Who knows what DC is going to do this Friday? Every Friday, it's a surprise from DC. So we'll see what happens.
I noticed people had gotten our T-shirts off of the T-shirts.
Well, yes, for people that pre-order our shirts, those shipped. We actually got the ones for the store. So if you chose the in-store pickup, they're there. So we should get those pretty soon. So thank you all for listening. Leanne just brought me a slice of her birthday cake from yesterday. So I'm going to go eat this birthday cake. And we will catch you next week.